How you doing?
How are you?
Good. I see Greg's here. Unbelievable. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Liz. Hi, Bridget.
Hello, hello.
How you doing? Good. I see Greg's here. Unbelievable.
Right? Is it a bed you sit on? Mm-hmm.
That's perfect for if people stay or anything too.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Bill. Can you hear me?
Oh,
Okay. I was just making sure you could hear me.
Hey, Liz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just lost all my video. Can you see me still?
Too.
I can see you.
Pardon?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see you.
Too. I lost everything too.
Huh. You guys are still showing on here. I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop it and so you can see if you can start it or I'll ask you to start it.
Oh. Oh.
Okay, I got prompted.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, I turned it off and then hit ask to start video again. Can you see yourself now?
No, I got the prompt, but it didn't start. Yeah, I can't see anybody actually.
we're back.
That's crazy because we can see you. Try it again.
Ah,
Bridget, can you
there we
see
are.
yourself?
Yep, I have it all back.
Yeah,
I
mine
don't
just
know what
came back as
happened.
well. Thanks, Liz.
Yep.
Okay, are you guys all ready?
Yep.
Ready. Wonderful, wonderful. So it is 7 o'clock and I'm going to call to order the Local Government and Community Services Committee. We're discussing two pieces of legislation tonight. And I wanted to welcome Bridget Gibbons, who is here tonight to help us discuss this legislation. So I wanted to start, these are two very related pieces of legislation. The first one is Ordinance 2010, which is authorizing an agreement for the Community Diversion Program. And so we brought Bridget in today to talk about the program and give us a little bit more of a background, and that she can answer any questions we might have about it. So welcome, Bridget. And would you mind giving us just a little bit of background on this program?
Sure. My name is Bridget Gibbons. I'm the Director of Programming at Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court. You know, CDPs, our community diversion programs, have been around for quite some time. I think you guys are one of the newer cities to the program, but it's been around for a very long time. The purpose of this program is to really help keep youth from being deeply involved in mandated systems like juvenile court. If we do know that adolescents, utilizing their adolescent brains, make mistakes and sometimes very poor choices that impact the community, whether it's property or low-level violence, even up to some communities will take felony level offenders. The purpose of this program is really to collaborate with each community to design their own community diversion program. We've done a lot of rehauling at the front end of our juvenile court. And with that, we've worked, you know, with our community diversion to talk about some of the changes that we're doing in an effort to improve diversion programming for kids in our county. So, you know, helping kids to, if they've had a bump in the road or they need extensive services, you know, our goal is to really work closely and shoulder to shoulder with the community diversion programs to allow kids to be restored back to appropriate behavior, to make amends for their behaviors, to clean up whatever mess they made, to apologize or whatever. So almost every city in the county has a community diversion program, and each one does it slightly different in a way that meets the needs of their own city. So some utilize mentors, some programs will utilize like restorative diversion panels, community restorative practices, things to help the child to learn from their mistakes. I think the biggest changes this year has been within the budget section. We've kind of reallocated according to the number of youth that have been served in the last couple of years, and tried to divvy it up that way so that all kids could have access to community diversion programs. So as I think you guys are pretty familiar with that, and I guess I would want to answer any questions that you had. Oh, the other thing about
Does
the
anyone have
program.
any questions? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, the other thing we're trying to do is move the time a kid is spending in a diversion program and try to shorten that up to allow kids to return to pro-social activities and to be, you know, to make their restitution, pay their dues to society, and then move back in and get linked to appropriate services so they don't do those behaviors again. So we were shooting towards 3 months.
Does anyone have any questions?
What's one of the cities around that we're familiar with around us that is utilizing this program, and approximately how many students participated in it over the course of this past school year?
So I think every surrounding community around Fairview Park has a CDP. So I know that Westlake may not be continuing this year, but Rocky River, Lakewood, all the surrounding areas do have them. It really depends on the city that have, you know, the number of kids that you are served. I do have Fairview's numbers from last year, but I did not bring them home with me. I want to ballpark it in maybe like 30 or something kids a year. It just depends. Like the city of Cleveland, we serve, there's hundreds of kids in the city of Cleveland. Some CDPs only serve 2 kids a year. So it really depends on, you know, how much stores, you know, shopping, shoplifting, and things like that can sometimes drive those numbers up in some suburban districts. You'll see where there's a lot of shopping districts will have more activity in their diversion program. So probably between 20 and 30 were served through Fairview Park, I would assume.
And I'm curious, why is Westlake discontinuing theirs?
I think they just felt like for the stipend that they get, maybe, I don't really know. I didn't have a direct conversation with anyone there, but I think maybe they just felt like they didn't need to continue the program. I'm not really sure what their exact reason was.
Yeah, that's what I don't see a downside to it. You know, what would be some of the challenges or the you know, things that need to be overcome to implement the program?
I'm not really sure. I think the simpler the city keeps it, the less difficulty you're going to have. So, you know, I think the simplest way is to have someone who does an informal resolution, or some cities will call it a hearing, an informal hearing or something like that. The simpler you keep it, and kids need to learn from their mistakes. They need to apologize to victims, and they need to make right. So I think the majority of CDPs do apology letter writing. The city of Cleveland is starting to do some really cool restorative work. So restorative justice interventions, where they have community members that sit on the panel, and victims can be heard, and the child, then they divvy up the panel, divvies up a plan to identify what's the most appropriate sanction or restitution or whatever it is. So I think it's a relatively simple and nice way for kids to stay connected to their communities.
Yeah, yeah. Thank
Hi,
you.
Bridget. It's Pat Cooney. How are you?
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Councilwoman Adler, and to answer your question, in 2019, there were 9 juveniles who participated. There were 3 meeting dates. In 2018, there were 22 juveniles with 5 meeting dates. And the figures from 2017, it appears there was 5 juveniles and 1 meeting date. So there's not a huge volume, but the opportunity, you know, for you know, juveniles not to have a record, and to get the restorative justice that you know, Bridget talked about, you know, it's a good program.
Yeah, sounds great.
Sarah, you're on mute.
Oh, there we go. I was on my phone, so I'm surprised I was on mute. That's okay. Thank you. If I had a question, what is the slippage rate on this? So for every 10 kids you send through the program, you know, do we see that 9 out of 10 completed successfully and go on to live fantastic lives? Do we see 10 out of 10, 1 out of 10? What does that look like?
That's a really, really good question. And actually, this is your question is going to take me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, in that our system, we could have done probably a better job of tracking this historically.
Sure.
So that's actually one of our goals with working and partnering with each city, is to do a much better job of, one, getting clarity on what defines success. And for us, that's really about kids not having new cases, not coming back to the attention of the court, and then not having a case go official through the court. And that's the most simplified version of success that we can get. Historically, we used to say, if we're back from the kid and we never see him again, that's success. But we would like to add in that they complete whatever you guys divvy out would be a success with them not coming back into the system. When we had benchmarks written in for successful completion, Each CDP, I know we just reported this out to county council, and don't quote me on exact number, but I think it was a threshold of above 85% were meeting their outcome indicators as were indicated in their contracts. But success rate is a really hard thing for me to nail down, just because from the court side, we were not doing as good of a job as we intend to do going forward to track that. And we are actually working with Case Western Reserve, Dr. Jeff Kretschmar, to help us take an evaluation and look at the whole early intervention and diversion center, which will take a look at each CDP and see how they're doing. And, it's not always fair to compare one city to the next, because you have different kids with different needs and different communities with different resources. So, we just want to see, our goal is to have kids not come into the juvenile justice system at all, and see communities be successful with their own kids. But I would say, I could probably look that up and send it to you if you wanted me to email that to you. I could work to do that, and I'm sorry I didn't prepare for it for tonight. But again, when we say success, it's a hard thing for us to wrap our head around because of how we've maintained the data in the past.
Sure, that's understandable. If you feel it's somewhere around 85%, I mean, the idea of getting 10 out of 10 is wonderful, and we wish we could get there, but that seems a little difficult to achieve. So to hear around 86%, does anybody want the real number? Should we have her send us that for next week? If you could send that to us, that would be appreciated.
All right. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'm looking at your
Anyone have any other questions on this? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark. All right, sir. Yeah, Michael Kilbane here. Thanks for coming to
I'm
talk
sorry,
to us
what's
tonight,
that?
Bridget. We appreciate it.
Yes.
no problem.
And I just want to let council know that next week for the regular council meeting, there will be a resolution coming before council to recognize the service of Magistrate Gail Nanowski over the last few years in this program for Fairview Park. All right.
Wonderful.
All right. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on ordinance 2010? And then I will make a motion to move this to third reading and final passage. Mike,
Yes.
can you guys? Okay, yes. Brian?
Yes.
Brian? Okay. Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes,
Maureen, did you hear? Yes. Sarah, yes. Bridget? So, okay, 7-0, motion passes. Oh, Greg, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I feel like there's a lag here tonight for me. I'm sorry.
Big time.
Okay, so then let's move on to ordinance. We'll move on to resolution 2004, which is related to this particular piece of legislation. And 2004 is going to appoint John Castell as our volunteer hearing officer to preside over this program. Is there any discussion on this?
Sarah,
Hearing none, I'll make a motion
his
to move resolution 2004. Oh, go ahead.
should his name be updated? Gail's name is still in section 4, operational details.
Yeah, is that the contract? Councilwoman King, are you referring to the contract?
Oh, you know what? I think I have. You know what, that's under, it's listed under ordinance, in the ordinance 2010.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I think
see
that,
that. It's on page 4.
Yeah, Gail's name's still on there.
Yeah, I think the contract, Bridget Gibbons, the contract that we have attached to our ordinance is outdated. It has some contact information and is, I think it's from 2019. So I don't know if you could email us a new version. I don't know if we've seen that or not. I don't, Greg Single's on the call. Greg, did you see a version with your name on there?
So I asked Sarah Baker.
Okay, Bridget Gibbons.
Oh, so I asked Sarah Baker to send that out because I do have the one with Greg. It's single.
Okay.
As the contact for that. So I'll make sure that we resend that back out to you again for tomorrow. We can resend it back to you. Do you want it to come to you,
Councilwoman King, is that
Mayor
what you were
Cooney
referring
and
to?
Greg?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm referring to, yep.
Yes. If you could send it to me and then also to Clerk Westbrooks as well, please.
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
That was all.
So then thank you. So if we move on to resolution 2004, that is the resolution that appoints John Castell as our volunteer hearing coordinator. Do we have any discussion on this resolution? Okay. Hearing none, I'll make a motion to move it to third reading and final passage. Brian?
Yes.
Wonderful. Bill?
Yes.
Maureen?
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Bridget?
Yes. Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Greg? And Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So we've moved to third reading, final passage by a vote of 7-0. And this concludes local government and community services at 7:19.
Great. All right, so the Finance Committee will start at 7:19. And the only ordinance we have to discuss is ordinance 2021, authorizing acceptance and administration of the 2020 NOPEX Energized Community Grant. Mary Kay, I was wondering if you could tell us what this grant money is going to be spent on.
Thank you, Councilwoman King. At this time, we don't have the funds earmarked for use. In the past, funds have been used for the senior center roof in 2018 and in 2019 for the police locker room improvements. We do have projects that this funding would apply to, but right now we are in a bit of a hiatus on those projects. So we're not assigning these funds to any particular project at this time. And they'll stay, I don't know if escrow is the proper word, but they'll stay with NOPEC. They will hold those funds for us until we're ready to use them.
Do we have to tell them a certain day when we're going to start using them, or do we have a deadline?
No, there's no deadline. There is a requirement for this legislation to be on file with them. We send it in like a form stack electronically in a reporting type format. But we can use the money in a future time or combine it with next year's funding if we so choose.
Great. Does
Thank
anyone
you.
else have questions?
Bridget? So
Yeah.
I had a question just procedurally. I don't know if this would be for Director Riley or who could answer it, but so we're accepting the money in this particular ordinance with no project tied to it. What is the procedure for then tying this to a project and spending it? Is there additional legislation, or is this simply we accept the money and then it kind of just falls into the budget?
I would believe that we could probably put it right in the budget, Mary Kay, unless there's something that they require you to file something more to tell them what you're doing with the money. But if we accept it, then we could probably use it as we see fit.
It's my understanding, Director.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any additional questions? All right, seeing none, I'd like to make a motion to put this on second read and return to committee. Mike,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes,
I'm going to vote yes. Greg,
Yes.
all right, motion passes 7-0. Finance Committee concludes at 7:23 p.m.
Thank you, Bridget.
Wonderful.
Thanks again, Bridget Gibbons, for joining us this evening. I will now have
It was
boards
nice.
and commissions reports.
Thank
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you. Okay, well, now I have boards and commissions reports. Brian, do you have anything?
Nope, not tonight.
Bill?
Yes, Michael, I have a very lengthy one. First of all, the Board of Control met this
Okay.
evening at 6 p.m. to award a contract for the West 213 water line replacement and paving project. 6 contracts were submitted. $569,170.25, $777,264.80. The engineer's estimate was $642,500. As per the engineer's recommendation and Board of Control discussion, the contract was awarded to Fairview Trucking and Paving Company Incorporated, 20389 First Avenue, Middlebrook Heights, Ohio. The amount of $569,170.25. Fairview Trucking and Paving Company Incorporated completed other projects in the city. The Board of Zoning and Building Appeals is meeting this date. One docket item, 21689 Lorraine Road, options and spa. Proposed signage total 61.7 square feet. 26 square feet is allowed, therefore requiring a variance of 35.7 square feet. Planning and Design Commission will have a virtual Zoom meeting Wednesday, May 20th. There are 2 docket items. 22650 Lorraine Road, Legacy Spa, review a plan for signage, 1200 Brook Park Road and 1500 Brook Park Road. Review of plans for lot split and consolidation. Also, the Plan Design Commission, a member of the Plan Design Commission will be appointed to the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council, CRA. That completes my boards and commissions report.
Thanks, Phil. Maureen, do you have anything for boards and commissions?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah, do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Bridget, do you have anything for boards and commissions?
Nothing tonight.
Thank you. Greg, do you have anything for boards and commissions?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Brian, do you have anything for roundtable?
Yeah, I just had one question, Mayor, it's probably for you. I've gotten a few people just that outreached about not so much when the Gemini is going to open. I think they've understood that that's going to be closed, but what we'll do from a membership standpoint, we're going to extend it for the entire period of time that they were closed, or maybe we haven't gotten that far yet with it yet, but I'm just curious what I could start to tell people if I start to get more of that as they kind of wait around.
We've been extending membership from the beginning since it was closed in March. So, and that's our intention for the time being. It's just people's membership is renewing in a month. We'll renew them. We'll continue to renew them until further notice.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Bill, do you have anything for roundtable?
Just several neighbor complaints for some hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maureen, do you have anything for roundtable?
I have a question for Director Costello. I know she had reached out to me regarding the issue of the football field lights in Mr. Kelly's yard. I had emailed you back. I don't know if you received the email or not. The correspondence that Mr. Kelly shared with you and that had my name on it, I never received that. And I was curious, was that through snail mail or was it an email?
It was forwarded to me electronically, but I believe it was originally mailed here. Mayor Cooney might be able to confirm that.
I can
Yes,
actually
it was
confirm
mailed here.
Maureen. I did address it to get mailed out to you, Maureen, so you should have it honestly tomorrow because I was told it was put in the mail today.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just wanted to,
Thank you, Liz.
since Mr. Kelly, I wanted to make sure I stayed in communication with him. And I know Mary Kate was addressing the issue, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Maureen?
No, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Bridget?
Thank you. I just wanted to let everyone know I was in contact with Chief Raffin about the fire levy, and he said that he's not going to put it on the ballot for this November, just because I wanted to get things started going if he was going to do that. So that's going to be on hold until next year at this point. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg, do you have anything for roundtable?
I do not.
Thank you. Liz, do you have anything?
Just a couple things. I actually got a call right before the Board of Control meeting, and someone was they were trying to get the login information, and apparently by the time I got them the information, the meeting was over. I was waiting to get in, but that was not on the, well, they didn't find it on the calendar. So it wasn't on the web calendar, but it also didn't have the Zoom information for it for the public to access it. But so I said that may have just been an oversight with the information not being on. It was the first one. So just for the future, so the public can access it, that information should be put out there. But two other things in there. One's actually I got a few calls last week about neighbors trying to find out what the noise ordinance was as far as power tools and when they can be used and all that kind of stuff. And I know that on our site, we have some snippets from certain frequently used codified ordinances. So maybe that one can maybe be put up, and the section is 557.03. We have one up about noise, but that one's general noise. This one is more specific to the power tools. And in case anybody wants to know, it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 p.m. Well, those are the allowable hours, and Saturday and Sunday, it's 9 to 9 p.m. So that, and also public records request. I got one last week, and they're kind of demanding for a 3-day turnaround. And our our policy for public records was changed to remove that 3-day and just say reasonable time, because that's what's recommended. So again, our website should probably be updated just to reflect with the change that we made with that as far as providing public records requests. So that's all I have.
Thanks, Liz.
Mhm.
I just have a question for the mayor.
Okay, Liz, what was the public records request for?
They were asking for, and they were supposed to be sending me an email because they called anonymously, so which they're allowed to do, but I was waiting for an email for just general specific information. They were harping on the 3 days, and I'm like, I'm trying to figure out what they wanted too, but they're supposed to be sending me an email, so I can't even tell you who it was or what they were looking for because they haven't sent an official request yet. But I know that information was updated it was at a records commission meeting. I think it was almost 2 years ago now, but just to not necessarily lock in, because some requests will take longer than 3 days, I guess, and putting that yourself in that hole is something that one is not recommended by the people that look at these guidelines for records retention and all that. They suggest saying a reasonable amount of time, which we did change ours. It just wasn't updated to the website.
Okay, thank you. I think we actually had a couple of changes to our public records requests since January 1. I thought Tim had sent those out, but we'll make sure we make that change on the website. Thank you.
Mayor, I just had
President.
I just had a
Okay,
quick
sure.
question about the status of AFSCME's contract, or actually both the remaining union contracts. Are they still being negotiated, or are they kind of just in limbo right now?
We're going to discuss that later tonight.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Very good. All right. Mayor, did you have anything you wanted to say before we adjourn into executive session?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. All right. Let's see. All right, so now the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session for the following reasons per the city charter: to consider compensation of a public employee or official, and to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. Do I have a second? Is there any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call roll on the motion to go into executive session?
Mr. Simmerly,
Yes.
Mr. Minnick,
Yes.
Mrs. Adler,
Yes.
Mr. Kilbane,
Yes.
Mrs. Waring,
Yes.
Mrs. King,
Yes.
Mr. Berger.
Yes.
And the motion carries. Council is now in executive session.